Hello everybody, it is the first day of spring and the weather and the fruit trees seem to realise that. But I thought since we're all stuck in lockdown and going to be stuck for a few more weeks in lockdown, it'd be good to do some short videos on a biblical topic, and I wanted to do them on some really exciting things there are in the early part of Genesis that generally get sort of lost in the fog, or people say, oh dear, it's all too hard, I can't understand Genesis, or whatever, but they're very rarely brought out, and yet they are really ideas and concepts that are fundamental to our faith, but in a really good way. So I'm going to start off today with just a short one, and that comes in Genesis 2:18, where God says it's not good for the man to be alone. I will find, well, it's an azer kenegdo in Hebrew, but in English is generally put in a suitable helper for him. Okay, well, it's those two words, the helper and the suitable, or help and suitable, that I want to talk about, because I have seen some people get it really, really wrong. In fact, no names, no court-martials, but I was once at a, sort of like an ordination commissioning. And, the head shirang, who was a crusty old King James Version man, after praying for the guy that was being commissioned, said, oh, and we pray too for his helpmate. I'm not sure if he said little, but his attitude and gesture was his little helpmate. Well, that's not what it is in the King James. It's, I will make a help, next word, meet for him. A help, stop, meet for him. Now, of course, if he'd been an old Anglican and brought up on the old Book of Common Prayer, he wouldn't make that mistake, because every Sunday we have the bit where the priest says, let us give thanks unto the Lord, and the congregation replies, it is meet and right so to do. And then the priest prays and says, it is very meet, right, and our bounden duty that we should at all times and in all places give thanks to thee, O Lord, and so forth. I mean, beautiful prayer, but anyone who'd had that every Sunday would understand that meet was not a little word, it was a big word, one that you used about sort of your attitude to God, the desirability of giving praise and thanks to God in all circumstances, but particularly at communion. But so that meet was sort of right, good, fitting, but in a very exalted sense. So if you're going to use the King James, you need to find out what words meant back in the 1600s, okay? So we know that the suitable is in fact, sort of more exalted than even the modern translations give it. Just the right thing, just perfect sort of thing. But okay, what about the help? Well, you get into problems here too in modern English, because, well, someone who's hired help is a very subordinate. A helper, in English, modern English, it's a subordinate thing. Now, in the Bible word, azer, and even in our English translations, which always uses it as help, wherever it's used in the Bible, it's definitely not a subordinate. Most of the time, it's about God. Oh, yeah. Well, just think about it. You know the psalm, I lift up my eyes to the hills, but where will my help come from? My help is in the name of the Lord. Okay, help coming from God, and I mean, sort of right through the Psalms, and that it's talked about as God as being the helper of Israel. Yeah, and he's not Daddy's little helper. He is, God. But right, it is used of humans, but where it is generally someone coming to the rescue, a sort of mighty ally. Well, there's a gorgeous bit where David's about to get killed, and one of his cousins that he's always having strife with comes and, as the Bible says, helps him. Well, he comes and kills the bloke that was about to kill David. So, there the helper was indeed a very mighty warrior that was at that time when David was getting a bit old, stronger than David, and saved his life. And it's sort of also used of the king's counsellors, that he gets help from his counsellors who are wiser, and can give him wisdom. And it gets in once in a negative thing, where Israel gets into trouble from God because they think, or the pro-Egypt party thinks that they'll get Egypt as an ally against Babylon. And God goes really mad at them for going to Egypt, as the Bible says, for help, when they should not have done that. But it still gets that the help is in the thing of a very mighty nation that they thought could be their ally and help them in a very powerful military sense. So, coming back to where God says, well, it's not good for Adam to be alone. I'll get a helper suitable, absolutely perfect for him. He's not talking about a diminutive. He is talking about a mighty ally that'll stand beside Adam. So that when we're looking at that as, the model in the perfect pre-fall world of husband and wife, the wife was not a subordinate. She was, well, we're going to find out that she's every bit an equal, but, even from this little bit here, we've had a taste of, no, she's meant to be a mighty ally. She's meant to defend and, be part of the show with him. A real teammate.